Oh, it's another week of the NBA DFS Preview show. My name is Jon Jansen, joined by a dude that basically every single night in my Twitter DMs, I just get photos of Ghost and the players that he has in his lineup that are just hitting. I mean, hitting. I just see flame emojis all over the place and next to players' names. I mean, it's every single night. So, I mean, Ghost. How are you doing? Still doing well? I was on Sirius XM Fantasy with Jason yesterday for the Win Daily Sports Show, and I was taking some of your advice. So I got to give you a little bit of credit. You've been helping me out too. I feel like I'm a better DFS player just listening to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And it's been quite the run we've had since you called on the show. I guess it's it must be
the Jon Jansen
wave.
lot?
I feel like it is. It must be from crapping on Philly sports to now pumping up Philly sports. I guess that was the change that we need. I don't know what it is, but you never leave the table on the heater, and we're certainly not leaving the table tonight. That's for sure. But I was listening to the show, and I was texting Jay because I was like, I hear you guys talking and whatever, and I was like, oh my god, like I wanted to mention one player like way out of left field. So I text them. I'm like, Armani Brooks. I was like, play Armani Brooks.
So that's where he got him. I knew Jason didn't know who that was. I'm like, he's saying this out loud. I'm like, he doesn't know.
So he doesn't even answer me. So I'm like, oh my god, he's probably thinking, bro, what is this clown doing? I'm live on air. It's probably who knows how many people are listening to us right now. And he's telling people to play Armani Brooks. Like, so then I go and I text him. I was like, Armani Brooks with one of the most.
Oh, so you were listening yesterday, though.
Of course. I was there.
So how was my
listening.
advice? Give me, on 1 to 10.
It was perfect. Like you were speaking, and I was like finishing the sentences because it was what we had talked about on Thursday and Friday. Like,
yes, that's why
everyone's playing X player, same price range, same game. Go to this guy, and I was like, yes, that's it exactly. So we were going on. I was fired up, and then I actually turned off the TV on top of that because I was like, no, I got to dial in right now. Like I want to hear what the boys are saying. So then I texted Jay and I was like, and one of the most used emojis on my phone, people will probably be like, they either don't know that those emojis exist, or they're like, what is this guy texting that uses these emojis? Like, for example, every time I text Mike,
emoji user too?
Every time I text Mike, I use the emoji with like the glasses and the mustache because it's literally Mike. There's an emoji with the glasses and the mustache. So like
you found a Brazil
like
emoji.
Face.
Is that what you're?
It's like the nerd face, but with the thick mustache and the glasses. I was like, oh my god, this is the Mike Vasily emoji. I was like, every time I text him now, that's what I send him.
That's so
the Canadian flag is obviously there because every time.
Hopefully, there's not an emoji of me. I don't know what that would look like.
I haven't found it yet. We got to find it. But the other one that I used, which is what I used to text about Armani Brooks for, was the one with the hand. Like, write this down. So I text Jay. I was like, Armani Brooks with that. And then I put a little brief. I was like, backup point guard Houston, seeing a ton of run. John Wall's out. A model loves him. Armani Brooks. And he goes out there and he's 5% owned on the slate yesterday. So I was like, okay, this is either going to blow up in my face or it's going to look great.
Or it's going to look genius. Yeah. Or
it looks great.
He
put up 25 DK at $3,200 on DraftKings. So a very cool 8 times his price there, and he was 5% owned. So little things like that. It's why we got to join windailysports.com. Get onto the proprietary projection model. I'm telling you guys, you're going to think of value plays that are there, and by no means would these players even be in the way back of your brain, let alone in your player pools that night. So it's a good way to get different, and this is the perfect slate when we're talking about that strategy that we were developing on last week, and again on the series show on Sunday. There are so many different value plays that we can just interchange those. So I can't wait to dive into that.
Yeah, and there's a really, big question, a general one about star player. How do we feel about Westbrook and Beal together? Is there blowout concerns? Are there blowout concerns? I don't know if I'm too concerned about that. Is this an automatic Russell Westbrook spot like it's been lately? Or now is there actually concerns about maybe kind of, pulling back from Westbrook a little bit?
So we do have the Russ revenge narrative on top of that, leaving OKC. So that's definitely
that's
on
a good
board.
narrative. I like that narrative.
I definitely like that one. And then Washington is never good enough to end up saying, do they have blowout concerns on their end? If anything, it should be, is Washington going to get blown out? I get it. OKC is riddled with injuries, and they basically traded everybody for whether it was a first round pick in this year's draft or a second round pick in 2030. Sam Presti pretty much traded every single serviceable player that he had on that roster, right? So Are there concerns? No. Rui Hashimura is not playing in this game. And then you look at the rest of that roster, Alex Len, Danny Avdija, and any one of these guys, like you can't count on them to end up closing a game. Like OKC can go on a run. They still have Darius Baisley. They still have Poku out there. Like they still have Theo Maledon. All these guys can run circles around guys like Danny Avdija and Washington subs, right? So they don't have the luxury of playing Westbrook or Beal only 27 minutes. They need them out there for the entire game. And the only time that it would be a blowout concern would be, let's say, 5 minutes left in the fourth. If they're up by 20, okay, they'll probably end up taking Russell Westbrook out. But if you need 5 minutes in the fourth quarter for Russ to end up hitting his value, he wasn't going to hit it regardless. So either way, I don't mind playing Russ on this slate. I actually like playing him on this slate, especially with when we're talking about that strategy. I'm just going to dive into it right away because I came on the show. I was fired up to talk about it right away.
Yes, you are.
Everybody's playing Nikola Jokic tonight, and I get it. It's a great spot. It is a beyond great spot for Joker.
Well, the thing is, there are so many above 10 and 11,000. You know, are there many different options to go at the top? That's what I feel like you're going with here, right?
That's exactly it, right? So I'll get out of the way right away and say that it's a stars and scrubs slate. I'm not dipping into the mid-range. I will give a couple mid-range plays because there are a couple guys that I like. But personally, in my main lineup, I'm not going in the mid-range tonight. But if we look at the top, you have Westbrook, Joker, Giannis, Curry, and Embiid. Those are the clear top five for me. Tatum and Vooch are, you know, I don't want to say overpriced tier 2 players, but they're a slight notch below the five that I just mentioned there before, right? So can you play Jason Tatum against Chicago? Yeah, absolutely, especially with Kemba Walker ruled out. Jaylen Brown still coming off illness, so we don't know really how he's feeling. He should be good to go, or else he wouldn't play in this game. But again, you know, you got to wonder about his cardio and whatnot if you really want to push a narrative there to play Jason Tatum. I'm not playing Jason Tatum at 10K when I see Giannis there at 10.6. So everybody's playing Joker as their stud. Nobody's playing Giannis. We're talking about 3 times the amount of people that are playing Joker versus Giannis tonight. And then you have the star duo out there in Golden State and Philadelphia. Tobias Harris likely not going to play in this one. Ben Simmons also questionable to play. I haven't really seen any news.
He's likely not going to play. I've heard through the grapevine here in Philly that Ben Simmons is likely to play. This
is what I love. You get the inside Philly news, and then here I have all the Raptors news, right? Because our team is the entire country. So no matter where you go, the entire country is covering the Raptors, right? So it's just any Raptors news that you need, I got it because, like I said, they represent the entire country. So
if Ben is ruled out now, George Hill's playing, but I don't know how much that's going to be. But if Ben's ruled out, knowing Tobias is that almost automatic for Joel or no?
That kind of wipes out the concern that Philly's going to run away with this game and that Embiid only plays 27 minutes. And is he going to pull that Joker type stat line where he drops 35 and 15 in 27 minutes, right? So at that point, you don't really have to worry about that all that much because no disrespect to Philly, but when Curry's out there playing 36 minutes, playing the way that he's been playing, they can't afford to take Embiid off the court and count on guys like Danny Green or, you know, any one of these guys to keep up with Steph Curry. When Steph Curry comes off the court, that's when Philly can end up getting a bit of ground back should they end up, you know, losing on a 10-5 run or something like that. That's when they could easily swing those runs back and forth when Curry comes off the court. But Golden State needs these wins. And if both Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons don't play in this game, you could take this 2 ways. If you are playing Embiid, I'm not playing anybody else from the Philly side. If you're playing Embiid, you're playing Curry. You just have to do that. And then on the flip side, you don't necessarily have to play Curry with this route, but you can grab a guy like Shake Milton. You could grab one of these role players, whether it's Korkmaz, whether it's Shake Milton, whether it's Danny Green, any one of these guys. Personally, Danny Green's still a little bit overpriced at 4,600. He's the guy that either goes 7 for 9 from deep, puts up 25 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, or he goes 1 for 9 from deep, and you're looking at a quick 10 points at $4,600, right? So that's not going to fly on a slate like this. You can't afford to, as simple as this sounds, it's just the truth. You can't afford to have somebody that throws an absolute bomb into your lineup tonight. There's going to be so many high-scoring lineups and so many high-scoring players that, you know, I don't feel a need to go to a guy like Danny Green. Even Korkmaz, seeing him now at 4,800, obviously he wasn't even relatively on my radar at all, but at 4,800, way too expensive for Cork out there, right? So at that point, if Ben Simmons is out, why would I not just take the primary ball handler, cheapest of the 3 options, and Shake Milton, who can also score at will, right? So that's a guy that would have interest in me, a good pivot to Kendrick Nunn as well out there in Miami, who's likely coming in as one of the heaviest owned players on the slate. So you have a couple options in this Golden State Philly game. Personally, as of right now, I don't really feel the need to attack it all that much, but that will drastically change if both Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris end up getting ruled out.
So where are we looking for value? Is it Oklahoma City and Washington? Because I know you mentioned some plays with Philly, but as you just said, and the only ones I would even recommend that could do anything are Korkmaz and Green. That is way overpriced for both of them. And I think Korkmaz mostly because how he's been playing lately. So where are we looking for value then? Because there is a ton of it. Cleveland, Detroit could definitely be some. OKC, Washington. What places are you going for value here?
We'll start with the Cleveland-Detroit game. I guess we'll kind of do like a mini game by game.
We should have the
time. We'll do a mini game by game there. So Cleveland-Detroit, look, I'm not paying up for anybody, and even if you wanted to, there's no such thing as paying up in this game, right? So Jared Allen, Colin Sexton are the highest priced players, along with Darius Garland. I want nothing to do with the Cleveland side. Pretty much everyone's healthy there, with the exception of Larry Nance Jr., of course. But Garland's out there with Sexton, with Jared Allen, with Kevin Love. We already talked about that Cleveland front court and why I chose Colin Sexton on the last Cleveland slate, and that's exactly what happened. Jared Allen, Kevin Love, every one of these guys, Taurean Prince, Dean Wade, there's Isaiah Hartenstein, they all got between 20 and 25 minutes. So I don't feel the need to go there on a short slate like this. Where I will go is on the Detroit side in Isaiah Stewart, Josh Jackson, and Killian Hayes. So we're pretty much going to see this. You guys are going to see a lot of the rinse repeat approach here on Detroit slates. It's going to be on every second slate, likely moving forward, that Detroit sits out all their veterans. So Mason Plumlee, Corey Joseph, Dennis Smith Jr., and any Jeremy Grant as well. All these guys are going to sit out. Wayne Ellington, Roddy Magruder, all the vets, right? They're pretty much going to sit out every second, maybe every third game, but it's likely going to be every second game because they want to see what they have in these kids, right? So Isaiah Stewart just balling out. Even when Mason Plumlee's in the lineup, he's playing more minutes than Mason Plumlee, and he's just going out there dropping 15 and 20. Like he's fresh off a 14 and 22 game. 14 points, 22 rebounds for rookie and Isaiah Stewart. Those are some heavy numbers for somebody that's out there getting a ton of run like that. So Isaiah Stewart's certainly an option in my main lineup right now. I'm not sure if I'll actually land there, but definitely somebody that I'm looking at strongly. The one guy that I'll recommend in cash games, but not for tournaments tonight, is Josh Jackson. So I was telling the guys and girls in Discord, of course, I said that I'll update it on the live because I wasn't really sure. And my flag has been planted there that I'm not playing Josh Jackson in tournaments. So he's coming in as the fifth highest owned player on the slate. Josh Jackson by no means has the talent to warrant being the fifth highest owned player on any slate. It's just that at 5,100, I feel like that's an easy spot to get away from. And the main pivot without going into that game just yet is going to be Poku. Nobody's playing Poku, but we're going to talk about those OKC injuries. You're looking at the same position for $400 difference there. Very easy to get different in a couple different spots. And again, we're talking about that strategy where you don't have to change the complete complexion of your build. You just have to end up going to guys plus minus $500, and sometimes you don't even have to leave the same game. And then the last guy on the Detroit side is going to be Killian Hayes. Look, I get Saban Lee's out there. He's going to get 20 plus minutes, whatever. But Killian Hayes, they drafted him 6th overall. They're going to want to see what they have in him because they obviously have to make a move in this year's draft too. They got to get this rebuild going. So they want to see what they have in Killian Hayes. And he's been out pretty much the first entire half of the season. And he's going to want to get some run. He misses every second game because of injury management, of course, or that's a new load management. Now it's called injury management, apparently. So he's getting, injury management status on every second game. Every time that they play, and until people are raising his price, he's going to be in play, especially at 3,700. I like this spot for him. Again, we're talking about a very high-owned Kendrick Nunn. Tyler Hero possibly going to play in this game, now upgraded from doubtful to questionable. I would not have an issue going down from $600 Kendrick Nunn to Killian Hayes and then using that money to go from Josh Jackson to Poku. That's just an example without giving away too much of my main lineup that, again, same structure of your lineup, just up and down $500, and you can easily get lower owned plays.
Yeah, so you're definitely bouncing around to a bunch of different plays here. So it really is kind of where we have to go through all these games. So let's go to Chicago, Boston. I know you mentioned Tatum, Vucevic, obviously not plays that we're going to go with. There's some better high-priced players, but is there any value, anything here in this game other than the top? Are we going lower for somebody here, or is this game maybe a little bit of a stay away?
The one guy you could take a flyer on in these really large field contests, again, it's not for single entry, not for 3 max. It's really those contests with 40, 50, 60,000 people, would be a guy like Peyton Pritchard. but he scares the living crap out of me. I mean, this is a guy that can, he could drop 30 just like he could drop 3. So again, with the amount of value that's on this slate, I don't really feel the need to go there. Denzel Valentine is someone that I'm okay taking a flyer on as well. I wrote him up in that first game when Zach LaVine was out, and he's been producing ever since. 25+% usage rate in back-to-back games here for Zach LaVine. And this is a game where, Chicago, this game fits Chicago's offense perfectly. They're going to run a 4-1 offense with Vooch in the middle, and they get to pretty much line him up with 4 guards if they want to, right? So Zach LaVine on the wing, definitely a good option there if you want to get down into that value level. Outside of that, Jaylen Brown is somebody that's kind of on my radar, more so on FanDuel than DraftKings. Obviously, we cover both sites. So Jaylen Brown at a very, very thin small forward position on FanDuel. He'll likely be in my main lineup for that is perfect because I actually bet. I actually bet the Houston money line tonight.
Did you?
So
okay, yeah. I thought you did it. Plus 230. So
yeah, it's at plus 230 on William Hill Sports.
This news: so. Butler hero out, Dragic in.
That fires me out.
Yeah.
Okay, that fires. Wow. Okay, I only ended up putting 0.5 units on it, but at plus 230, I had to take a shot just in case all these injuries pan through. And I had a bad feeling when Bam got ruled out and all these guys got ruled out. I was like, they might end up winning this game. But yeah, in that Boston game, Jaylen Brown is somebody that I'm highly interested in, more so on FanDuel, just because of position scarcity. But on DraftKings, not really feeling it all that much this game. I'm probably not playing anybody from this one at all.
All right, so we talked a little bit about OKC Washington as well, Golden State Philly. What about San Antonio Indiana? I know there are a few players still out there. Is anything, or you know what? Let's go. I mean, we mentioned these games pretty much. Is there anything from San Antonio, Indiana, all the way down to Memphis, Denver, Utah, Los Angeles that you like? It seemed like you were really locked in on those first few games.
Yeah, I will mention the Houston Miami game. If you want like the craziest narrative of all narratives, I'm gonna have one lineup with him. Just because it's fun, right? People have to remember that, yes, we're going to make money. Not we like to make money. We will make money in DFS and at the sports book. But you also need to have fun with it, right? So one guy that I will have in a lineup, maybe one of my lower end lineups of the night, maybe I'll throw it into like a $5 single entry or something. I will play Kelly Olynyk tonight. Wow. And the main reason why is the revenge narrative, number one. Obviously, we like revenge narratives in NBA. But it's also Kelly Olynyk's birthday today. So you get the double narrative. You get the double narrative. Obviously, we like to play players on their birthday, and then we like to play them in revenge spots. You get 2 out of 2 here with Kelly O. So,
what's his 3-point prop? I'm gonna take the over on it. It's like betting a home run prop, right?
You have to take it over. You have to. You got it's just a spot where we're gonna have some fun tonight. Does Houston really feel the need to run Christian Wood into the ground when Kelly Olynyk is going to go out there and play his former team, who he went to the Eastern Conference Finals with and the NBA Finals with, right? So this is a guy that he was a key part of that rotation, and he goes out there and he gets shipped out of town as they're getting up to make another run this year. He gets shipped out of town. It's a good spot. I like it. Quite different. No Bam Adebayo on the other spot. No Bam Adebayo on the other side too. So.
Do you think anybody's caught on to that double narrative? And do you think the roster percentage
right now he's coming in under 5% owned?
Oh, well, there you go.
So you got to take look at 6,900. It's really expensive, but again, we got to have some fun with it. So if you
let's do it.
No matter what you're doing, even if it's a 25-cent lineup, whatever amount you want to put on it, just make one lineup just for have fun tonight. By playing Kelly Olynyk in that double narrative spot. San Antonio, Indiana is kind of tough for me because it's like pretty much a lot of my favorite players are all playing each other tonight in Malcolm Brogdon, DeJounte Murray, and obviously Domantas Sabonis. But this game from a fantasy perspective is beyond gross. I can't really see it. It's going to be a slow pace, 2 methodical teams, both on offense and on defense. DeJounte Murray is a great defending point guard. Well, you have Malcolm Brogdon on the other side who could defend pretty well as well. So I'm staying away from this one. Yeah. I heard, I heard these Virginia players are pretty good when they get to the show at defense. So you know what? I'm staying away from this one. Obviously, I'll never say no playing any one of these guys. DeJounte Murray should be like 8,500. Same thing with Malcolm Brogdon. Domantas Sabonis should be 10K over Jason Tatum in a spot like this. But it's just I don't see it in this game. In terms of pace or anything like that. It's such a big slate, so much value. Yeah. I don't really feel the need to go there in the mid-range at all.
Yeah, any of these games, Phoenix, Milwaukee, Memphis, Denver, Utah, Los Angeles?
That Phoenix Milwaukee game, I have interest in it in both DFS and especially on the sports book. So I was
I know
expecting
you
this
and
one.
Chris Paul. I saw that prop. Yeah.
So I was expecting when I woke up, I checked the slate and I was like, okay, Phoenix is going to be favored. Maybe 3, maybe 3.5. They'll give them. Like I'm hoping it's under 4. Then I see Milwaukee favored by 3. I've never ran to the sports book so fast. Obviously, I didn't have to run. I was on my phone, but you guys get the point.
Whoa.
What is the disrespect that Phoenix is getting right now where they're essentially neck and neck with Utah as the top team in the league? And they're not favored against a Milwaukee team that is beyond overrated. Like I don't see it. Chris Paul goes out there. He's going to do Chris Paul things. Top 10 MVP vote, by the way. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a guy that I guess it's the former athlete coming out of me right now. To me, it's yes, stats matter, but this guy came in and took the exact same Phoenix Suns team. Yes, okay, Booker's 1 year older, Mikal Bridges is 1 year older, DeAndre Ayton's 1 year older, and they're all developing. But this guy came in and took a lottery team into a perennial contender in the better of the two conferences. Like outside of that, when we're talking about what the award actually means in most valuable player, we're talking about wins above replacement in baseball. Some people know it as WAR. I don't know if that stat translated to the NBA. I don't know if there would be a player with a higher WAR statistic than Chris Paul, maybe Nikola Jokic, but that's it. And Steph Curry. I would put them 3. Like think about if you remove a player from a roster, which roster would completely like disintegrate? Phoenix would be right up there with Golden State. This is a team that they were terrible the past couple of years. And right. I get it. Booker's a year older. Ayton's a year older. The Mikal Bridges is a year older. Dario Saric is actually healthy and playing. I understand that. They brought in Jay Crowder. But it's just Chris Paul goes and he wins. No matter where he goes, he wins. OKC was supposed to contend for first overall last year. They made the playoffs. Like, yep. It's just that's what Chris Paul does. And then he goes out there in Milwaukee where they're not favorited. I don't get it. I'm taking Suns. I don't need the points. I'm taking Suns.
You were all over the Suns today. You really are.
I'm taking the Suns on the money line. I don't need the points. And then I'm taking Chris Paul over 8.5 assists. Because I really do see this as a game where he's going to go out there and control the entire pace, and he's going to go out there and facilitate. It's just a spot where 40 assists in his past 4 games.
Yeah. All right.
The guy's going out there and playing vintage. So not much from DFS in that game, all about the sports book, but I am playing Giannis tonight in my main lineup. Giannis at 10% against DeAndre Ayton's defense, I guess I could call it. It's very hard for me to pass that up.
All right. You want to go through some lineups? How about we do that?
Let's do it.
Let's go through a little bit of lineups. DK, Westy, Booker, Poku, Giannis, Dedmon, Hayes, Tillman, and Gafford.
Yeah, definitely like that. I don't think I would change anything in that lineup. I like the Booker Giannis combo. So no one's playing Booker tonight. No, I don't want to say no one's playing Giannis, but he's a third of the ownership of the Jokers and the Westbrooks and everyone else there, right? So the rest are pretty much 4 out of like the top 6 value plays in the model right now, in Dwayne Dedmon, Killian Hayes, Xavier Tillman, and Daniel Gafford. So I love that lineup.
All right, we got another one. Westy, Dozier, Bertans, Tillman, Joker, Hayes, Tatum, and Dedmon.
So the one thing that I would try and do is go from Tatum to Giannis. It's $600. So if you can, I would. I don't mind Bertans though, especially with Rui out. If for some reason you have $600 left in that lineup, Jimmy, try and get from Tatum to Giannis. But if not, I really do like it. Maybe run a second one, swap out Bertans and go from Tatum to Giannis.
All right, we got another lineup. One more here: Westbrook, Clarkson, Dozier, Ariza, Dedmon, Frank Jackson, Ingles, and Jokic.
I love Jordan Clarkson tonight. I took his player prop over 19.5 points.
Yes.
I do like Jordan Clarkson. Just again, that mid range for me is a little dicey, right? So the one thing that I see when I look at this lineup, it's like who outside of the 2 spectrums of the lineup, Westbrook and Jokic, who out there is going to go and win you a slate, right? Like Joe Ingles is going to go out there and he's probably gonna double with over 10 assists again tonight. Most likely, he's gonna go out there as the primary ball handler and do his thing. Jordan Clarkson's gonna score at will off the bench. I get that, but you look at that middle group in, like I'm thinking about it, and it's like, okay, we're paying such low prices for Dozier, for Dedmon's minimum price. Frank Jackson, I think, is like 3,100 instead of minimum price of 3K or 3,200. So it's like you're paying so many low prices. I would want 3 studs in there. That's the only thing, is that if you have this many 3K punts, I would like the star power where you look at your lineup and you're like, okay, these 3 guys are combining for 200 tonight. Where do I go for the rest? That's the approach that I like to take.
And I know this is only small sample size. We're seeing 3 lineups here out of thousands that are going to be put in tonight. But I'm not seeing any Curry or Joel Embiid. Is this one where maybe they are kind of the contrarian plays when it comes to the top, money players? They
are, absolutely. I mean, because of the amount of value that's there, you have to remember that when we think of the way that the majority of the field thinks, they're going to want to use all their salary. Right. So when you get all these studs that are within $500 from one another, people end up slotting in Giannis, and they see Joker there with Jamal Murray out in a juicy matchup against Memphis with Jonas Valanciunas out. They're going to say, oh, I have $200 left. Let me downgrade somebody 200 to go from Giannis to Joker, when that's not necessarily the right play every time. Right. So you have Curry at 10.5. People are going to say, well, let me use a value guard instead of a value forward and get up to Giannis or get up to Joker or they're paying 10.5 for Curry. They're like, let me find the $500 and get to Westbrook, because of the amount of value plays that are available to us tonight. Right. So Curry and Embiid are going to be extremely low owned. And this is a spot where, if Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons get ruled out, giddy up on this 1-2 star punch of Curry and Embiid. Like, it's going to be really tough to pass that up. Who on earth is going to guard Joel Embiid in the paint? We've already been over this. Draymond switches out of matchups like this. This is not 2015 to 2018 Draymond Green. That's literally what they like. We might as well call him that. Like, he does not want the Joel Embiid smoke. This guy, he will put him on a poster. The guy's going to be all over Bleacher Report tomorrow morning, right? So that's not who Draymond Green is, right? So you got to think that he's going to switch out of these spots all the time, and then he's going to yell at Kevon Looney for not being able to guard Joel Embiid. That's what Draymond Green's going to do tonight. So it's really tough for me not to play Embiid and Curry in a spot where, because then people are going to say, okay, how does Curry not hit his ceiling tonight? First of all, wrong. No, you can't say those words together. And then, especially with the way that he's playing, That's why I'm surprised I'm not seeing more of Curry, because he's on a run that I thought people would be wanting to ride. Well, that's it, right? And then the one thing, for all the math gurus and, people that might not actually watch basketball and they're just going to, look at the numbers, they're going to say Simmons is a good on-ball defender. I get that. I respect that. I'm going to say that again because we have a Philly guy on the other side of the screen. But I would get that. I respect that Ben Simmons is a good on-ball defender. I get it. Ben Simmons might not play in this game. Who is guarding the greatest shooter of all time? Shake Milton? Danny Green is like 50.
Danny Green's, he's a little. I mean, George Hill's back.
George Hill is. I just said Danny Green's 50. George Hill must be like 60 in that case. Like, it's like, who is guarding? Like, think about the offense that Steph is running right now, where Draymond is setting high screens. Kevon Looney is setting high screens.
Well, does that affect it more if Ben Simmons isn't playing? That makes you want to play probably Steph Curry more than even Joel Embiid. Like, Joel Embiid, you would imagine, it means more of the volume is going to go through him. But to me, I think you're right. If it's Ben Simmons not guarding him, then who? So I think it would be bigger. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like you end up like people are saying, okay, and sometimes they only look at what impact that has on that team, right? Simmons is out. Okay, we need to lock Harris or Embiid or both. Harris and Simmons are out. Okay, we need to play Embiid. But look at the flip side of that matchup. What does that do to the opposing team? You have the greatest shooter of all time on the other side that now the one capable on-ball defender that Philly has in Ben Simmons is not playing. Shake Milton cannot guard him. Cork is not even in the conversation. Danny Green is like 50. George Hill is like, I'm pretty sure he's going to apply for retirement soon. Like, it's just,
come on, man.
This is just like
after he gets that ring, yeah, sure.
After he get, it's not going to be with Philly. Tell you that much. Miami's coming out of the
Brutal.
East. I already told you this. Miami's coming out of the East. We'll do that on another show. We'll do it on another show. Miami's coming out of the
We'll
East.
talk about that another time. Yeah.
We'll talk about it another time. But
yeah, it's
just this.
So Steph Curry seems like a great play here. Right?
It is, and I agree with you 100% because this is a spot where you look at your lineup. The lineup construction itself should all be the same for me. You have 3 studs, whether it's all the way to the top or it's pretty much those 5 guys: Westbrook, Joker, Embiid, Giannis, and Curry. If you're not playing 3 of those 5, that's when you could go into the Tatums, the Vuces, the Jaylen Browns, Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles combo, something like that. We mentioned Poku at 5,500. You could actually get 3 of those guys with Poku, by the way, just putting that out there. But it's just, this is a slate where the lineup construction itself should all be the same, and you're just interchanging value plays and studs. Yeah. Everybody's paying up for Joker tonight. I'm going all the way down to Gafford, to Xavier Tillman, to Dwayne Dedman, to Isaiah Stewart. These are guys that it's not that they're not good plays. It's because just by default of positions, Joker is taking that center slot. A ton of these guys are not going to be low owned. All of them are only center eligible. And then you look at the amount of guard options that are available. Most people are probably going to slot in 3 point guards tonight, right? So you have your point guard, your guard, and your utility spot. By default, all of these good value plays at center are going to be unowned, or at least they're going to be, I don't want to say completely unowned, but they're going to be lower owned than they should be because of everybody playing Joker. So to me, it's like, what better way than to get different than everybody's playing, for example, Kendrick Nunn. We'll see if it's still like that when we get back to the Discord chat at windailysports.com. But let's say, for example, everyone's playing Kendrick Nunn. The chalk combo is Kendrick Nunn and Joker. Why don't you just flip that to Isaiah Stewart and Steph Curry or Russell Westbrook? You're using the exact same positions, point guard and center, but you're just flipping the salaries around. Yeah, that's how you can get different on a slate like this, where to me, if Simmons and Harris are ruled out, I'm finding it very hard not to play Joel Embiid in the spot. And I was Team Joker all the way before coming on. The I don't want to say the blowout, but the minutes did worry me a little bit about Joel Embiid. But Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers don't give a
nope, not at all
about Joel Embiid's minutes.
There's no restriction. He's not resting a day. Nope, none of it.
This is proof that it was Kawhi and the medical staff dictating what Doc Rivers was doing with that load management in terms of Kawhi. Yeah. Doc Rivers right now, they do not care whatsoever about Joel Embiid's minutes. They're chasing that number 1 seed. They want that number 1 seed because now they're thinking Miami can fall 1 or 2 seeds or they go up 1 or 2 seeds. I haven't checked the updating standings. They get Miami in the first round. That's a problem. I want to play the Hawks first round. Somehow they got to play the Hawks first round. I don't know how they do it, but they got to play the Hawks first round. Like they got to do it. So this is a spot where they're going to chase the number 1 seed. I get it. There's no fans. They get home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. Why not? So it's kind of tough for me not to play Embiid and Curry on the other side if Simmons and Harris are out, especially with everybody playing Joker and Westbrook. And then everyone's slotting in the same value plays, overpaying for Josh Jackson. Like, just look at your lineup right now, and there are so many pivots at the exact same prices. Josh Jackson to Poku, Kendrick Nunn to Killian Hayes. Any one of the top 5 guys are basically interchangeable, in my opinion. It's like, this is a spot where people are paying up at center, pay all the way down, load up on 2 point guards, play Westbrook and Curry in the same lineup. Why not? Yeah. Why not? People are playing Joker, play Embiid, play Giannis. No one's talking about the back-to-back MVP against a Phoenix team that he dropped 50 and 17 against.
Yeah.
I dropped 50 and 17.
I think it's a good spot to wrap it up there because I know there are going to be a lot of people in the Discord wanting to get to you and talk to you. windailysports.com/chat. Join the Discord. Ghost is going to be going through all the lineups just as we kind of did here on the Win Daily Sports NBA DFS Preview Show. My name is Jon Jansen, joined by Ghost at DFS_Ghost. We'll be back tomorrow after another winning, green, just glorious day on the NBA DFS slate. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace and go Sixers.